about it? Are you seeing any movement in that regard?
Look, we are not going to respond to bluster. If we do see any movement in that direction, we will respond swiftly and decisively.
Can we just go back to China for a second? Just on the embassy and staffing there. Are there any updates? Obviously, the Chinese came out publicly before anything had been even, well, not only not announced, but also not decided in terms of dependents and non-essential staff there. Presumably that came up in the call, or at least the Chinese said it did, as part of your alleged attempts to sabotage the Olympics. Is there anything new on that?
Matt, you've heard us speak to this in different contexts, even in recent days. We have an overriding priority in this department and across this government. It is the priority we attach to the safety, security, the welfare, the well-being of Americans around the world, and that of course includes our colleagues on the ground in any particular country and their families as well. The operating status at our mission in the PRC has not changed. Any change in that operating status would be predicated solely and exclusively on those issues: the health, the safety, the security of our colleagues and their family members. Now, what is true is that we have longstanding concerns regarding the PRC's quarantine and testing policies that run counter to diplomatic privileges and immunities. We've discussed this issue with PRC authorities, both here in Washington and in Beijing at different levels, and we've recommended what we think are a series of reasonable options that would be consistent with COVID-19 mitigation measures and at the same time align with international diplomatic norms and practices.
Recommended to the Chinese, you mean?
That's correct. So we're not going to go into the details of this, but this has been an issue that's been under discussion both here and in Beijing.
Can I just ask you to clarify something? When you talk about how the operating status of the embassy hasn't changed, I mean, I think a reasonable person from the outside would look at this and say, well, if, you know, kids and spouses get sent home, but the primary person who's the employee doesn't leave, that doesn't change the operating status. But are you saying that does? And so there has been
there's been no change in the operating status.
Thanks.
Michel, yeah.
Today, the State Department issued a travel advisory